Welcome to MINDSHOCK. This is the Steven Seagal series. Man, myth, legend, or something else entirely. Is he even mortal? This is part 11. Is Steven Seagal God? I've posed the question, is he the Messiah? This is a variation. This is obviously the most comprehensive deep dive on Steven Seagal in the history of the world. The Great One himself, the master of all trades, jack of none, the master of masters, martial arts extraordinaire, thespian extraordinaire, writer, director, producer, sheriff's deputy, border patrol agent, political ambassador. I mean, is there anything this guy can't do? Expert marksman, horseman. I mean, the amount of weapons this guy has mastered in addition to unarmed combat is unprecedented. Truth Trollette saying he can't birth a child. I mean, he's got quite a lot of children, though. I mean, this guy's like Genghis Khan. I mean, what is he up to, 12? Master philanthropist. I mean, he doesn't even brag about all his philanthropy work all over the world, from Africa to Thailand to South America. Absolutely unprecedented. Welcome, Chin Chin, Lord Zed, Truth Trollette. I mean, this one's going to be a doozy. You guys better buckle up. Chin Chin says, a weird synchronicity happened the other day. I was cleaning out a closet for my grandmother and found a pretty much perfect condition copy of Hard to Kill, starring the legend Steven Seagal. I mean, I brought this up on the previous live, Steven Seagal versus Chuck Norris, which is, I'm actually going to make that part 10 of this series. That's why, and I'll adjust the playlist accordingly. But look at the amount of people that stepped to virtually every single famous martial artist except Steven Seagal. More people have stepped and thrown punches at Bruce Lee than Steven Seagal. Even a Steven Seagal, a geriatric, obese Seagal in his 70s, no one dares physically step and test Seagal. They'll run their mouth, but they won't actually step and challenge Seagal. Welcome, Saddlebone. I mean, this is just a legendary blues musician and vocalist as well. The Mojo Priest himself, Sensei Steven Seagal. If you want to help support the podcast, help logic and reason return to a world where it's quickly going extinct, as evidenced by the Illuminati propaganda campaign against the Great One, Steven Seagal, the world does not celebrate his greatness the way they should. But as Jesus said, if the world hates you, just remember they hated me first. We are going to be examining which reincarnated Lama Seagal is exactly and why. Is he God, or is he just the Messiah, or is he some kind of amalgamation of both in human flesh, not unlike one Jesus Christ? Now, this is not blasphemy because I am not claiming anything is true or untrue. There are many theories, including that the Jesus Christ story to become Christ-like, that any of God's children can do it. and Jesus is simply the roadmap. The kingdom of God is in man. God made man in his own image. God made Steven Seagal in his own image. Is it blasphemy to quote the Bible? So, if you want to help support MindShock and Logic and Reason, and recognizing the most accomplished human being living today, is there anyone more talented than being talented? I mean, this guy's a fashionista icon putting on fashion shows in India. I mean, is there anything this guy can't do and hasn't actually done? He's also a writer. And obviously breaking more conspiracies than any other Hollywood celebrity. The first, the bravest, single-handedly taking down the modern mafia in the Nassau trial without a single bodyguard. He doesn't need witness protection. No witness protection, no bodyguards. He just saunters into court, testifies against the modern mafia, and instantly the mafia's influence plummets. Heracles asked, how could there possibly be more accomplishments to cover? Oh, there's more. We're also going to be looking at pretty much every single piece of Steven Seagal media in existence, including every single interview ever conducted with the Great One himself. And so that takes time. We're going to be approaching hour 30 soon in this Steven Seagal series. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is going to go triple, if not quadruple digits. I mean, people are saying he's got some kind of ego, but he seems to have severely downplayed his abilities and accomplishments to such a magnitude that it's taking dozens and dozens of hours just to explore all of this. So, yeah, you can donate to our PayPal. Check the link in the description. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like and share, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and Patreon. Patrons do get priority for case topic, logical analysis, co-podcaster requests. You could also be a guest on the podcast depending on your tier. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind. Leave them in the comment section. You can also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube to help support the channel that way. Lord Zed says, if he had an ego, there wouldn't be any of us left. All right, so where do you guys want to kick off here? Do you want to go straight into his Steven Seagal God, or do you guys want to hear, I finally found, so obviously Steven Seagal, the most accomplished human living today, both as a martial artist and just a general human being, but I finally thought of someone who might last longer than a fraction of a second, possibly. Do you guys want to start with that? Or do you want to go right into the Steven Seagal interviews and segue into his divinity? I'm going to let the chat guide this episode. A truth trollette says, yes, please. Yes, please. Which one? What do you guys want to start with? Chin wants the segue into divinity initially. So you want me to save for last who could possibly last longer than a fraction of a second in a physical confrontation with Steven Seagal? I'm not sure Lord Zed could handle that, waiting that long. Truth Trollette says, start with the surprise guy that may be able to go longer than a moment. Here's the thing. I wouldn't say he's that much of a surprise. I'm actually shocked I couldn't think of him on the previous live where we were talking about who could last. I mean, Brian Bosworth might be able to go longer than a fraction of a second. I mean, that guy was a specimen. That was a good call by Lord Zed. Brian Bosworth. Wow. Okay. So I don't know. I'm really actually, I don't know where I want to start. There's so much to cover with Seagal. So we got one For the guy that might be able to last longer than a fraction of a second in a physical confrontation with Seagal. Chin wants to go segue into Divinity right away. Lord Zed, how are you going to tie break this one? Okay, Heracles says, I need to know who could withstand more than a second of Seagal. I didn't say more than a second. I said longer than a fraction of a second. So it might be just under a second, but right about a second. Not necessarily longer than a second. I don't know. Lord Zed might not be able to contain himself if the reveal isn't done. Now, I have mentioned this guy before, but it's been quite some time. So let me just play the highlight reel. Fair use, obviously. I mean, there's going to be so much fair use tonight. Everybody's going to be drowning in fair use. I've mentioned this guy probably a few times, but not in a quite a long while. So, yeah. Let's see if YouTube will even allow me to play a highlight reel of this individual. Oh, maybe not. Hold on one second here. Let me set the stage this way. This guy would wreck Chuck Norris. Let's set it up that way. This guy would absolutely wreck any version of Chuck. Yeah, I think it should work here. Just give me another second. But I'll set the stage that way. Now, regarding Van Damme, I think he would beat Van Damme as well. I mean, actually, you know what? He'd probably beat anybody. I think this guy would beat Boss Rutan as well. How's that for setting the stage here? Welcome, David. Alright, so we are starting this episode with an individual who could probably last longer than a fraction of a second. Maybe not longer than a full second. Maybe right up to a second, just under a second. Unlike anybody else alive today. And the reason might not be the reason everybody thinks. Although this man is incredibly skilled, that is not, his skill is not the reason that he might be able to last up to a second. Alright, I got it here. Going on the screen right now. If anybody guesses correctly... Uh-oh, it's coming in. Is anybody gonna guess here? I don't think anybody's gonna get this one. No, it's not Bolo Young. Who knows who this guy is? The Gracie Killer. The greatest MMA fighter of all time, pound for pound or otherwise. The one and only Kazushi Sakuraba. Now, obviously, he weighs a lot less than Steven Seagal, but this guy's absolutely incredible. I mean, this guy made Royce Gracie throw in the towel because he intentionally would not finish Royce Gracie. This is the Gracie Killer himself, Kazushi Sakuraba. The pro wrestler who made absolute fools of MMA champions, MMA heavyweights like Kevin Randleman. I mean, this guy demolished everybody in his prime, except for Vanderlei Silva. And he couldn't quite beat Crow Cop either, but he gave, even Crow Cop had so much trouble with this guy, and it wasn't an official finish either. But I can't believe I forgot this guy. This guy also is able to take more punishment than any human being I've ever seen. Now, obviously, we don't know that with Seagal, because nobody can actually land anything on Seagal. But this guy, I mean, you could beat this guy silly for 15 minutes, he'll still come back and win. I mean, the amount of punishment this individual can take. I mean, this guy just doesn't know how to give up. And his grappling ability is incredible. His striking ability, pretty solid. But pretty much his ability to take damage is quite unlike anything I've ever seen. I think he might last more than a mere fraction of a second with Seagal. It might take Seagal several blows to take this guy out. I don't know if he could do it in one, just because of the amount of punishment this guy can take. I mean, this guy's like a 180-pounder who's just destroying heavyweights. Absolutely destroying heavyweights. In a highly entertaining fashion. Fair use, obviously. I mean, just making an absolute mockery of UFC champions. Ken Shamrock there. Carlos Newton. He also beat Rampage Jackson, for those who don't know. But yeah, this guy just made absolute fools of the entire Gracie family, and Rickson Gracie was too cowardly to step in the ring with Kazushi Sakuraba. Too much of a coward. I mean, Sakuraba destroyed his family in front of him, and Rickson was still too cowardly to enter the ring with Kazushi Sakuraba. It just made an absolute mockery of the entire Gracie family. And rightfully so, because, I mean, these goofs were hyped with their UFC infomercial where they handpicked competitors. I mean, can you imagine if Sakuraba was in the first UFC? I mean, there would be no Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, he beat Royce Gracie like a red-headed stepchild and intentionally didn't finish him, so he would throw in the towel. I think it's still the world record for the longest fight, over 90 minutes or so, of just an absolute beatdown of Royce Gracie. I mean, he just toyed with him like a child. Out-grappled. I mean, and it looked like he wasn't even trying that much. I mean, people actually thought Royce Gracie was good. I mean, it's kind of weird. Like, the infomercial worked. So there was no time limit, so it was infinite rounds. And after 90 minutes, Royce couldn't answer the bell because he was beat down too severely by Kazushi Sakuraba. I mean, obviously, Seagal would destroy all the Gracies at the same time, but still. I mean, this is an entertaining fight for the people who haven't seen it. I mean, Sakuraba just absolutely toys with Gracie like a bum. I mean, look at this. I mean, Gracie looks like an absolute amateur. An absolute amateur. With his sloppy gi. I mean, can you believe people actually took the Gracies seriously? And here the goofs have to throw in the towel. Poor Helio in the background there, watching history repeat, basically, when Kimura exposed Gracie Jiu-Jitsu so many decades prior, and now Sakuraba doing it against Hoist. The bum can't even get off the stool after 90 minutes. And then Sakuraba goes on to fight that same night against heavyweight killer Igor Vovchanchin. One of the greatest no-holds-barred fighters of all time. I mean, he was kind of like Fedor Emelianenko before Fedor Emelianenko. So after fighting for 90 minutes, that same night, Kazushi Sakuraba makes the walk back to the ring to fight the heavyweight killer, Igor Vovchanchin. And Sakuraba weighs like 170 pounds here, and the amount of sweat he must have just gone through beating up. I mean, beating up Hoist for that long, that's a workout. I mean, he's probably in the 160s by the time he stepped in to face Igor Vovchanchin. And Sakuraba goes 15 minutes with this killer. I mean, just absolutely unprecedented. And just, I mean, crazy. Crazy. So that's my pick, actually, because the amount of punishment Sakuraba can take, Seagal might have to hit him a couple times. Just because this guy could just take an insane amount of punishment. Lord Zed says, I give him a 1/10 of a second. No, I think he might be able to get more. Yeah. I mean, Sakuraba actually beat Rampage pretty easily. Sakuraba beat a bunch of UFC heavyweight, light heavyweight champs. I mean, it was a semi-green Rampage, but still. Okay, anyway. That's the pick, so now you guys don't have to wonder. But Sakuraba probably the greatest MMA fighter of all time. I mean, it's a complete joke that people actually cite Hoist Gracie or any of the Gracies. I mean, Sakuraba embarrassed them. I mean, he thrashed them like toddlers. I mean, it wasn't even close. So, let's get into Seagal's divinity now. If nobody has any other questions about Sakuraba. Rambler in the chat. Is Alex Jones Bill Hicks? Well, I did a podcast on that. Lord Zed approves of my pick. Welcome, Austin. Austin MP88 says, I would pay $2, which is a lot for me, to see Seagal versus Fedor Emelianenko. I don't think that fight would be that close, though. I mean, do you guys know, like, Fedor's brother, Alexander Emelianenko, has beaten Fedor before as well. So, I mean, it's not like Fedor's unbeatable or anything. Ricardo Arona handled him pretty, I don't want to say easily, but I mean, it's kind of obvious Ricardo Arona beat him in rings. The MMA organization rings way back in the day. I mean, the decision was given to Fedor Emelianenko, but it's kind of obvious Arona was the better man. And then they never had a rematch. I mean, I don't know if Fedor was too cowardly to rematch anybody who beat him. Like, regardless of what the official result. Like, Crow Cop beat him, just thrashed him completely and broke his face, and he won on damage. I still don't know how they gave him the... Because it wasn't UFC rules. In Pride FC rules, you know, damage is more of a criteria than ground control. Because, I mean, Fedor definitely had the ground control in the later rounds. But Crow Cop did all the damage. So, it was clear victory for Crow Cop. And Fedor actually ducked him for years through Crow Cop's prime. Then when they finally fought, somehow, I don't know if the judges were paid off or what the deal was. Fedor gets the nod from the judges and then ducks Crow Cop forever after that. You guys want a fun clip that I didn't play before? Alright, you guys are in for a treat here. We got some more unprecedented Seagal receipts. So keep in mind, Alexander Ameiliono has beaten Fedor in combat sambo. And in sparring. I mean, Fedor himself said that Alexander was better than him. So, I mean, it's not... I mean, Alexander's huge. He's like, what, 6'7" or something? And crazy athletic. He's got way better striking than Fedor, no question. That's the guy that was in prison and supposedly part of the Russian mafia. A lot of crazy stuff. So, here's an interesting treat. You guys definitely are not going to see this coming. Here is the one and only Steven Seagal training Alexander Ameiliono, Fedor's brother, who Fedor admitted was better than him. I think Steven Seagal's actually friends with Fedor Emelianenko. They're all buddy-buddy, actually. Here is, here's Seagal hanging out with Putin and Fedor Emelianenko. So, I think Fedor knows full well what would happen if him and Seagal ever faced off. But anyway, here's Steven Seagal giving Alexander some pointers. Alexander's like a European combat sambo champ. I think he's pretty high level in judo as well. I mean, Seagal has a judo black belt also. But look how easily Seagal is just manhandling Alexander. Alexander's 6'7". Seagal's like 6'4.5", 6'5" himself. I mean, just look how easily he toys with Alexander Ameiliono. The much younger man. Austin says there's a great sparring video of Fedor and Alex. I think Fedor has better hands, but Alex is fast and huge. Fedor is just polite to his... Alexander has way better hands. Way better. I mean, Fedor's hands are pretty slow. I mean, fast for a heavyweight, but Alexander's fast. Like, not even for a heavyweight. Do we really have to get into Alexander Emelianenko's hands? Most of Fedor's victory via hands is that overhand, that combat sambo overhand punch. Like, here, I have to play this Alexander video. I'm a huge fan of Alexander, by the way. I mean, he's way better than Fedor. I don't know why. I mean, Fedor gets all the attention. I mean, obviously, Fedor is the more disciplined human being. I mean, Alexander was in drugs and a bunch of stuff. Not very focused, which just shows how talented he is. I mean, Alexander basically didn't even really take fighting seriously, and he was cream of the crop. I mean, he's top of the heap. There's really not a lot of heavyweights that could actually beat Alexander Emelianenko. Like, let's look at this highlight reel here. Fair use, obviously. And then you see Seagal toying with this giant man like a child. I mean, if there's a list of people I don't want to fight, I mean, Alexander's on that list. I would sooner fight Fedor Emelianenko, which I wouldn't, but I would sooner, if there was like you had to draw a guy to fight, I'd rather fight Fedor than Alexander. Who wants to fight Alexander? I mean, this guy's a killing machine. This guy's a giant killing machine. He's got a tattoo of a Grim Reaper. I mean, look at those hands. Look at the speed and the power. I mean, Fedor's kind of sloppy with his hands. I mean, Fedor's probably the superior grappler, maybe, because Alexander's kind of can use his size like that. Fedor doesn't have the size, so he has to have better technique. But Alexander's hands are insane. I mean, he's got deceptive timing, crazy speed. I mean, his punch combos are just out of this world. I mean, look at that accuracy. I mean, he lands almost everything. I mean, just look at that accuracy. Look at that. He's still hitting him while he's falling down. I mean, look at this accuracy. He lands every single punch. Every single one. Actually, there was one to the shoulder. Other than he only missed one shot there. I mean, this is crazy accuracy. I mean, Fedor's striking is nowhere near this level. Look how relaxed he is in this armbar. Alexander might be the most well-rounded heavyweight fighter ever. Yeah, I don't know how anybody can say that Fedor has better hands than this. I mean, look at that. Look at these punching combinations. The accuracy is just insane. And Bob Sapp goes down. Alright, check it. This was probably my favorite combination here. Where he's still hitting him while he's falling down. I mean, just the power is just incredible. But here is Steven Seagal toying with this giant heavyweight. Just effortlessly toying with this man. And that's what a lot of goofs don't understand. I mean, a lot of this small joint manipulation and all that, it's illegal in MMA, but... Austin saying, the Fedor slander is killing me. I'm just calling... I mean, do you really think Fedor is better than Alexander? More disciplined, yes. Better MMA record, yes. No question. But just in terms of pure talent and fighting ability, you put these two guys in the ring. I mean, it's not like Alexander hasn't beaten Fedor Emelianenko in Combat Sambo. I think Fedor's beaten him as well. But Alexander did beat Fedor Emelianenko in Combat Sambo, which is Sambo with striking. I mean, it's not that unlike MMA. David says Fedor is called the giant killer for a reason. I mean, Sakuraba is more of a giant killer than Fedor, but yeah, I mean, Sakuraba's beating heavyweights too. Sakuraba weighs 180 pounds. Fedor weighs 220 to 240 or 235, whatever he weighed. I mean, I can bring up the record if you want that receipt, I can find the receipt. You want to see the receipt of Alexander beating Fedor? Alexander is, let's see here. Oh wow, Alexander is a world champion in Sambo. So he won World Combat Sambo Championship 2003, 2004, and 2006, 3 time. Interesting. Interesting. Wow, here's a great quote from Alexander. My punches are like electric trains. If I miss, my opponent would catch a cold. Oh man, that's funny. He debuted in Pride Fighting Championships at 22 years of age, beating Asuerio Silva by split decision. So he's a 3-time World Combat Champion. 3-time Russian National Combat Sambo Champ. 3-time World Champ. Man, Fedor's only 12-7 in judo. That's not great. That's not great. So he was part of the Russian national judo team, but his record's 12-7. I mean, that's not a great record by Fedor Emelianenko. I mean, if you want to say, I really, I mean, I don't think Fedor would do anything against Seagal. I mean, he'd get wrecked. I think Alexander would have a much better chance, although, as we see here on the screen, I mean, even Alexander's not going to be able to do much against Seagal. Yeah, it looks like Fedor's also a three-time World Combat Champ, Sambo champ. But he's a 6-time national champ. So, I mean, they've beaten each other. I'm trying to find the exact tournament where Alexander beat Fedor. We're getting a little bit sidetracked here with Seagal, but I'm trying to find the exact tournament where Alexander beat Fedor. So there's a video. So Fedor beat Alexander, in quotations, beat, but Alex clearly let him win. They even joked about it. So they both joked about it. So there is footage of a recent tournament, because that was during Fedor's big run where they wanted to keep his undefeated streak going. So I found that. I mean, if I do a podcast on Fedor, I'll go into all that and I'll play the clips with the translation of them joking about it. That Alex is clearly the superior fighter. I'm trying to find the exact. Okay. Okay. Blago Ivanov beat Fedor in 2008. In the early years when they were competing seriously, like when they were competing for real, Alexander won and Fedor didn't dispute it. When Fedor beat Alexander, they both admitted that Alexander let him win. So there's a video of Fedor's loss to Ivanov. Man, I want to get the exact tournament that Alexander beat Fedor, because I remember it was kind of a big deal back in the day, in the heyday of Pride FC. Austin says, Fedor's boxing looked better to me, but they were sparring on a blacktop. A lot of big brothers say the younger brother is better in public. It's usually the other way around. I mean, you could tell Alexander's way better, though, just from watching the footage. He's bigger and faster with his hands. I mean, Fedor, you could argue that Fedor's grappling technique is better because it has to be, because Fedor is so much smaller. Whereas Alexander can use his weight. But Alexander's no joke in grappling either. Yeah, I've seen all the footage of them sparring. I mean, so you have to look at that sparring footage. Who's preparing who for the fight? Because their job is to prepare each other for fights. So if you look at Fedor helping Alexander prepare for a fight, Fedor's going to be going light. When you see Alexander helping Fedor prepare for a fight, Alexander's going light. So you can't really read it too much into that sparring footage. The only time they went for real in combat sambo, there might have been a second time where Fedor did beat him. I'm not sure. The most recent one that's a video, that's Alexander letting him win, and they both admit that. That was just kind of for show. But I think they might have actually had two other encounters where they each have a victory over each other, but I'm not sure. I'm actually having trouble remembering. It's possible Alexander was injured and he wanted Fedor to get to the final because he knew he couldn't win. I'm trying to remember the details because this was all over the MMA forums when it was happening, somewhere around the early 2000s. That's how long I've been covering this stuff. So I remember that the time that they were both fresh, Alexander won. But it wasn't a surprise to anybody because Fedor always said that Alexander was better. Now I'm getting a little annoyed because I can't find the name of the tournament. You know who else was better than Fedor Emelianenko? Sergei Karatanov also had better hands than Fedor. So yeah, I mean, some could say I'm blaspheming against Fedor, but there were quite a few guys, and Sergei Karatanov trained with Fedor as well. And I think Fedor kicked him out of his training camp because he was better. Like he would be getting the better of Fedor, and Fedor's team didn't like that because they were prepping Fedor to be the champ. They didn't want Karatanov stealing the thunder. Oh yeah, Austin for sure. Fedor beat better guys than Alexander. Yeah, no, for sure. Fedor had a way better career and record than Alexander. Alexander just skill wise was better, and Karatanov as well. No, yeah, Sergei Karatanov was no joke. If you remember his fights, yeah, that was actually there was a big stir. There was a lot of hoopla over Karatanov getting kicked out of the Red Devil training camp, Fedor Emelianenko's training camp, because Karatanov would get the better of Fedor Emelianenko, and they wanted no part with that fight. Like they would not allow, and Karatanov clearly beat Nogueira. And I don't know what the judges were smoking. If you watch that fight, Karatanov outstrikes and outgrapples Nogueira, and somehow they give Nogueira the decision. It was crazy. And then Nogueira gets to fight Fedor. Some people think that Fedor's camp might have had something to do with the funny business Yakuza in making sure that Karatanov would not get to fight Fedor. Because Karatanov would have won. Yeah, Karatanov was better than Fedor at everything. I mean, he was insane. Short prime, though. I think he had, like, a lot of injuries or whatever. But anyway, alright, so... Lord Zed says, I wanted Chael to beat Fedor. How do we get sidetracked with Fedor Emelianenko here? Let's get back on track with the Divine Seagal. I mean, I'm going to spend one more minute looking for this, because I know for a fact Alexander has beaten Fedor Emelianenko in Combat Sambo. But I always bring the receipts, and I kind of feel bad because I need the name of the tournament. I don't think there was footage. This was way back in the day. So I don't remember there being footage, but it's on an official record. I'm going through some old MMA junkie forums right now trying to find the name of that tournament. Oh man, there's no Alexander fans in the chat that can cite that receipt. Uh, let's see. Man, I really feel bad not citing the receipt here. You know who nobody talks about, though? Alexander Karelin. I mean, he had a record of what, like 802 or something? And he's huge. We talked about him a little bit. Man, I really want to get this receipt. Has this been scrubbed from the internet? Now I'm going on old gambling forums. Let's see if anybody mentioned this here. Okay. Man, why is it so hard to find this? Wow, this is an interesting conspiracy. So if Alexander Ameiliono made a documentary and the Russian government refused to release it. That's curious. I wonder what's in that documentary. That's recent news. That's a couple weeks ago. Definitely need to go over that if that's ever released. It's probably, it would be in this documentary, wouldn't it? I would think it would be in the documentary that should document that Alexander beat his brother. I mean, that's kind of an important that's kind of important. Oh wow. He apparently also kidnapped his housekeeper and stole her passport. That's curious. And of course all his trouble with the Russian mob. Yeah, that guy definitely led an interesting life. Man, I feel bad. I can't find the name of this tournament. Apparently they don't keep meticulous records. It might have been European championships where Alexander beat Fedor. It might not have been Worlds, but even Worlds, apparently they don't keep very good records. They have records of like the championship matches, but not all the other matches. It's kind of hard to find. So perhaps, again, maybe it was European championships where Alexander beat Fedor. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple here. Okay, so Alexander won 1999 Europeans. Perhaps that was when he beat Fedor. I don't know. I just found that he won the 1999 ESF European Sambo Championships. So perhaps it was that tournament. That's all I got so far. Because his later, when he also won 2003 and 2004 and 2006. So, but I think Fedor was on an undefeated run later on. So it would have been either 99 Europeans or perhaps 2003. Those are my guesses here. It was either 99 Europeans or 2003 Worlds. That's my guess. It was one of them. But it was actually relatively big news at the time. People were talking about how Alexander was better than Fedor. That was a pretty popular topic of discussion, and that was one of the main cited pieces of evidence. Okay. Alright, now let me catch up on some of these comments. Okay. Alright, you guys are talking about Chael Sonnen, the great one. Alright. Well, I mean, Fedor's so far past his prime now. I mean, doesn't, what happens now doesn't really matter. Truth Trollette says it's MINDSHOCK. We always go after. I would say it's tangentially related, wouldn't you? I mean, he's got Alexander on the screen like a child here, so I think I wouldn't say it's off topic per se. Lord Zed says Fedor is ducking a rematch with Chael. Amphibious says, Chael made it further than I thought he would at heavyweight in the tournament. Okay, everybody sleeps on Chael Sonnen, and they make a big joke out of all this. Has Chael Sonnen ever lost a round, though? I mean, the way he beat Anderson Silva like a redheaded stepchild. I mean, Chael just absolute... Well, Seagal also. Seagal just easily toyed with Anderson in the training footage, but Chael Sonnen just thrashed Anderson Silva. I mean, Chael dominates 99.9% of their cage time. I mean, he's getting like 10-6 rounds on Anderson. Yeah, Chael Sonnen's no joke. And didn't he beat those 5? He beat 5. He went 5-on-1. And then he predicted it. Should we do a quick Chael Sonnen aside? All right, Austin loves Chael Sonnen, so okay. Here's an aside on Chael Sonnen. Amphibia says, what happened with Sonnen Silva 2? Well, did you see the first round? That was like a 10-6 round. Anderson couldn't land anything on Chael. Chael slipped, right, on that backfest. I actually haven't watched their second fight that many times. The first fight's hilarious. In their second fight, that was like a 10-6 round for Chael. I mean, absolutely humiliating Anderson Silva. And then, what happened with that combination? I mean, Chael was going for like a weird spinning backfist, then he slipped, and then Anderson kneed him in the head while he was down, which is illegal. Amphibia says, Sonnen beat Jones via Tober. Yeah. Lord Zed says, this is definitely an important discussion taking place. No, yeah, for sure. Okay, let's do a quick aside on Chael Sonnen because he does deserve it. All right, give me a second here to bring up the prophet Chael Sonnen, undisputed and undefeated in his prophecies, at least. In his prophecies. Now, he always jokes like he's never lost a round. Is that true? I'm not sure Chael ever has lost a round. He might have lost fights, but I don't know if he's lost a round. He might be the most dominant MMA fighter. Just give me 1 second here. I wasn't expecting this aside, but alright, so check this out. So let's go to the great prophet, Chael Sonnen.
Doesn't matter who you fight. Who you fight. Who you fight. 1-on-1, 2-on-1, or 5-on-1. I'll make them all need 9-1-1.
Couple years later, here's the headline. Police say Chael Sonnen allegedly battered 5 separate victims in a fight. He beat up 5 guys at the same time. And they had to call 911. So this is December 20th, 21. I mean, this is crazy. It's hilarious. Let's listen to this one more time. On the prophetic channels. I mean, how many other guys, other than maybe Bas Rutten or Alistair Overeem, have beat up 5 guys at the same time?
Who you fight. 1-on-1, 2-on-1, or 5-on-1. I'll make them all need 9-1-1.
And probably still the best MMA guy on the mic ever. I think they made a comment about his wife. I think that's what it was. I don't remember. I think one or two guys made a comment about his wife. He took offense. All their buddies jumped in and he took them all out. Oh man. Amphibious says Chael and Vanderlei Silva's Wanna Now exchange on The Ultimate Fighter was arguably the most entertaining exchange that has ever taken place. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. Austin says Chael versus Tito at Bellator is the best presser of all time. Lord Zed says best on the mic in UFC history, and it ain't close. Yeah. I mean, Conor, I would say Conor's probably number 2, but yeah, distant second. Distant second. Well, no, so here's the thing, Lord Zed. I think I went over this in another podcast. You have to tap 3 times. If you tap twice, it's not a submission. That's clearly stated in the UFC rules. Yeah, so basically, a tap out occurs when a fighter taps the mat 3 or more times with their hand, indicating their submission to the opponent. Or verbally says they can't continue in any fashion. I'm trying to find the video right here. I haven't watched it in a while, actually. Trying to see how many times. If Chael even tapped at all. Oh, he totally. He didn't. Wait, he didn't even tap at all. Hold on. Wait, what? Is this a Mandela effect? Hold on, I'm gonna put it on the screen right now. He didn't even tap once. Alright, hold on. We're gonna get shut down for copyright by UFC, but I mean, this is a pretty important aside. I actually thought he tapped, because Sakuraba used to do that all the time. Sakuraba would tap twice just for fun, but then he wouldn't tap the 3rd time. Yeah, no, Sakuraba always played that game, because just the mental games. And the ref, Yuji Shimada, in Japan, the ref was always like, he was so close to it to see if there was a 3rd tap, but Sakuraba wouldn't tap the 3rd time. So he would just tap twice for fun, and then not tap the 3rd time, because he was obviously never in any danger. But yeah, no, I'm going to put it on the screen right now, because this is kind of important. I totally forgot. I thought Chael actually did tap once or twice just to screw with Anderson. But it looks like he actually didn't tap at all. Not even once. So let's take a look at it now. Fair use, obviously. I could try to skip through some of the highlights if we don't get shut down here. So, here's Chael Sonnen beating Anderson Silva like a redheaded stepchild. I mean, it's not even close. I mean, Chael just completely outclasses this guy. I mean, just absolutely outclasses him on the feet, on the ground, everywhere. Just absolutely takedowns at will, just completely outclasses the guy. I mean, this fight isn't even close. This is not a close fight. I mean, Anderson looks like an amateur here. An absolute amateur. He doesn't look like he even belongs in the cage with Chael or any pro fighter here. Alright, so, let's see. Alright, so here we go. So here's Anderson's desperate Hail Mary after getting destroyed the entire fight. Let's see if anybody could actually see Chael tap. Because I just reviewed this real quick. He doesn't tap. It actually doesn't even look like he's in that serious trouble. So he's flailing. Oh, he does tap one time. He taps once on Anderson's leg and then immediately goes to his own arm. So he doesn't tap 2 or 3 times, which is the requirement. Let me get that receipt on the screen for everybody. So this was actually in the cache on the UFC website. I don't know how much time I want to spend on this, but I'll bring it up here. So it's kind of like a common rule set in all leagues. And people have been discussing this for a really long time. I'll put this, just the general here. And let me see if I can get the UFC cache in a second. But this was always the rule in all combat sports, all leagues. So a submission is earned when in combat sports, when a wrestler taps the mat or their opponent 3 or more times with their hand or verbalizes to the referee. So this is one tap or slap of the leg. It's kind of hard to tell whether Chael is trying to push away the leg, because he looks like he's going for his own arm. And look, he's clearly not wanting to tap. So 2 things going to happen here, right? Either he thinks it's going to break, even though it doesn't look like it, because Silva actually gets it deeper later. So look, his arm is bent here. He's okay. So either he started to tap and changed his mind, because again, you need 3 or more taps. So he either tapped once, then changed his mind. Actually, there's 3 options. Or he was thinking to try to push away, to push on Silva's leg, or he was trying to play a mind game and get Silva to let go off of 1 or 2 taps. Like maybe he was going to do a second tap. But here, Silva's not letting go of anything. Look at Silva here. Silva actually is extending it even further now after the referee's already jumping in. Obviously, Silva, quite the dirty fighter. But here, Chael Sonnen has the opportunity. Look at that. He's got the leg of Anderson right there. Chael clearly has the opportunity to tap 3 times and give up if he wants to. He's got the opportunity to do it right there. No, Amphibious, there's no the verbal submission, you don't have to submit 3 times. It's any verbalizes to the referee. So this can be done in any way. You can yell tap, you can say I give up, you could say stop. Anything verbalized to the ref. But the tapping is 3 taps. You need to tap 3 times. So Chael either tapped or touched Anderson's leg 1 time. We saw that. Now here, instead of tapping, he's going to push the leg. He's trying to escape here. He's trying to keep going. There's no tap. So at best, you can argue Chael maybe wanted to tap 1 time. But he clearly didn't tap 3 times, which does not meet the threshold for a submission. In their second fight, I don't feel like going over this, but in the second fight, Anderson knees him in the head while he's down. So that's clearly illegal as well. If you guys want the UFC cash receipt, because I remember going over this before. I don't know if it was on a live, but... The reason it's so obvious is because, again, there were certain fighters who did 2 taps on purpose to screw around. And that's why it was always, it has to be 3 or more in rapid succession. I forgot who it was. Was it Mayhem Miller? There was 1 or 2 other fighters who would screw around too. They would tap 2 times and then get ready to tap the 3rd, but not tap the 3rd. Then they might wait a couple seconds, and then they would do it again where they would tap twice. Because the rule is it has to be 3 taps in succession. So if you tap twice and then wait a while and tap once, that doesn't meet the threshold. I wonder, I probably have the old rules, because I don't know if the current rule says you have to tap 3 times, but back then you did. I mean, they changed the rules so many times, but it was always 3 times until, I don't know when they, I don't even know if they officially changed it. I think they might have changed it to referee discretion. So then people stopped tapping once or twice because then the referee could just call it. But back before they changed it, it had to be 3 taps in succession. And I mean, it was kind of a thing in jiu-jitsu too, where the fighters, they would tap twice just to screw around, but not do the 3rd. Like, it's a known thing. It's not, you know. So. So that's funny because clearly, yeah, I mean, I wonder why, so Chael did protest, but I don't remember what became of that. Because at that time, you had to tap 3 times. I mean, actually looking it up, it looks like there's a whole bunch of UFCs where this happened. Where guys only tapped once or twice, but the ref stopped the fight anyway. Also, the referee, so the fighters say in the locker room, the ref actually tells them you have to tap 3 times. So this is a known thing. So there was quite a few fights. This was so UFC 62, UFC 86. So this happened a couple times. A couple more here from 2012. This also happened in the June 1st, 2012 Tough finale. Where so yeah, this has been an ongoing issue. I think that's maybe why they just changed it to ref discretion. But it was always you have to tap 3 times in succession. Alright, so let's continue with Seagal's divinity if you guys are done with Chael. Why'd you bring up Chael to take us down this rabbit hole? Sebastian in the chat says, Bruce, I have an awesome conspiracy to the level of mud flood, flat earth, or even bigger. I cannot get David Weiss to listen to me because of cognitive dissonance. What's the conspiracy, Sebastian? Amphibia says, Goggins video saga with Crenshaw is fine. Okay, we don't have time for that now. Oh, Bitcoin BTC is not Bitcoin. BSV is. Okay. Wait, why is that? Is that controversial? I wouldn't be surprised about that at all. There's so much funny business with Bitcoin. All right, let's get back to Seagal's divinity. That's what everybody's here for. So, Chael Sonnen with his 5-on-1 prediction. That was hilarious. Okay, Seagal mopping the floor with Alexander, who is superior to Fedor. Okay, now let's get to the real stuff now.
See the ball, be the ball.
Mr. Dresden?
Oh, damn it, it's Seagal.
I have a romantic comedy. I think this could be my thing.
A romantic comedy?
Yeah, it's good.
Steven, no offense, but that's crazy. You're an action guy. No one's gonna buy that.
I like the idea. Please. I got wonderful piece. It's a little sour piece. It's nothing.
Boring alert!
It's about a young single guy who falls for his daughter's school teacher, but they're too jaded to admit their feelings, and the kids end up getting together.
Okay, can they flirt using text messages?
No, it's supposed to be all about how they talk to their kids.
What if it was about how they talk to each other through their phones?
This Steven Seagal commercial is better shot and more entertaining than most movies today.
What's funny about that?
Who cares? By the time we blow up the school and you throw some kicks, some karate stuff, they'll be downloading alternative endings in the aisles. I love it. Sayonara, Seagal. Yeah, not such a tough guy now, are you? Whoa. Uh-oh.
I bet nobody's seen that Seagal commercial before. Going deep into the archives.
Good to see you again. Yeah, I got, you know, I was reading your bio and I found out you and I have something in common. We have shared a common experience. Do you know what it might be?
Going to the bathroom?
No. Although I don't believe sharing that with you, but you meet so many people. But let me ask you.
Well, I didn't mean that. I mean that we all have to do
Yes,
that.
no. You, because I was talking about this burger recall. You know, they're calling all this meat. You are a former fast food employee, which makes me laugh hysterically. Just grabbing that guy through the counter, slapping the hell out of him. Now, where were you? Were you, where, Burger King?
You know, I'm I'm not sure exactly what the name of it. It could have been a Burger
Yes,
King.
it was. Come on,
I think it was
hold on.
pre-McDonald's, see, 'cause I'm probably a lot older than
Now, see,
you.
I was McDonald's. No, I'm older than you.
Well, it was pre-McDonald's anyway.
It was. No, I was McDonald's. Do you remember what your... Who were you in the... I was Fry Guy.
You were the fry guy?
Fry Man.
I was the burger. I was the meat man.
You mean, how old were you? Now, what age are we talking?
I was 17.
17. Okay, do you have the goofy hat?
No, I was in the back, man. Nobody ever saw me, so I got to just kind of like...
Oh, you weren't a counter
But
man?
I was quick, you know.
Yeah.
See, that was the thing. You know, I might have been the burger man, but I was quick. I could flip them quick.
With the martial arts? you
Yeah,
helped
it
me
was
flip
like,
them.
you know, and that's why I lasted so long there, because I was quick.
Yeah, you could probably lasted so long. Well, that's a proud accomplishment.
It was good. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say, you know.
Now, you seem like an
You were
enterprising
slow.
kind of guy. You seem like, you know, you work... Did you have a lot of things going to your kid? Did you work a lot of different jobs?
Jay likes to kind of like, you know, bring up the things that are monumental in our lives.
Well, that's right.
Well, I paved driveways a couple of times until I got fired at that.
No, what do you mean? No, what is that? No, wasn't that scam where you buy, like, black paint and you dump it on the guy's yard and take him for $300? Is it that one, or you actually did the driveway?
Yeah, well, it was common. We used a little bit of tar, but it was mostly paint.
Yeah, right. And what did you do? How old were you now? When you did it?
That was probably, again, 17, 18.
17,
See, after
okay.
that, I left for Asia, and then...
Did you go to Asia that young?
Yeah.
See,
So Seagal did fast food and construction. I mean, what an interesting life. I forgot who the commenter was, but someone just said Seagal's life is like a fairy tale. Let's look here. Let me get the image of him at like 17 or 18. There was one documentary. Now, let's see. There was a documentary that had him walking down the street in Japan. Trying to find it. It's actually not that many images of a young Seagal. Most of them are with him in his 20s. I think it was in part 1, the 6.5 hour Seagal part 1. Let me see if I can get the image here. If possible. Man, this is tough. Okay, hold on, maybe. See. Yeah. Why is it so hard? Gotta go through 7 hours of footage. Alright. I'll just put up his high school photo then. I think that's Steven Seagal's high school photo. Not sure. But, yeah, that would have been him at around 17, 18.
I always thought you went to Asia when you were like your mid-20s or something.
No.
Oh, okay. So okay, so you go to Asia, and what? Now, Burger King didn't send you over there. I mean, why did you go?
Burger King at that time, I think it might have been Jaime's, burgers or something
Some
like
little
that.
one, little chain.
But they, they had a scholarship program where if you flipped fast enough for long.
Stop. Now, let me ask you something else. I read about this
Don't
when
get too close with your hand there. I get nervous.
Oh, with the hand.
He's going like this to me. Did you notice
very
that?
quick, very quick.
Yeah.
Snap the pen, grasshopper. No. Now, I read something about you as a kid.
Did you?
About you being
You did
clairvoyant,
your
some
research.
incident. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, when I was a child,
Yeah.
no, I mean, this happens more to me now that I'm an adult, or
Yeah.
semi-adult anyway. But when I was young, sometimes I would have a knack of knowing what people were thinking.
No, based on just being intuitive, or do you think you're actually...
Well,
like-
I think I was intuitive or
Yeah.
maybe semi-psychic back in the olden days. That was before I got hit on the head too many times.
Now, give me an
Since
example.
I never went through the...
No, but this is interesting. Give me an example of what you mean, like, as a kid. What age you talking now?
7,
7? Okay.
8, 9.
Okay. I'll take 7 to block. All right, give me 7.
Okay, 7. We're in Fullerton. We're in a doctor's office, and
Right.
my mother asked the doctor, well, then if you don't do this, who should we send him to? Should we send him to so-and-so? And the doctor's kind of silently says, well, let me go look in my records. And he walks out of the room, and I say, Mom, he hates that guy. That guy's a dangerous guy. We can't go to him. And, he comes back in, and my mom says, do you hate Dr. So-and-so? And is he dangerous? And she said, well, yes, how would you know that? And so I don't know why that would be interesting for.
Well, no, that
anybody
isn't.
watching,
But see, you can either
the
say...
guys who do the pre-interviews for him, they.
Well, no, but that's good, though, because that could either be clairvoyant, or maybe you're just the kind of kid who can read faces if the guy was...
Yeah, I could have read faces, I could have read minds, I could have read palms, I could have read tea leaves, who knows?
Well, now, I know so you go to Japan. Obviously, you speak fluent Japanese.
Yeah.
Now, are there all sorts of dialects in Japan?
There are all sorts of dialects.
So which
I
do you
probably-
speak?
Well, I speak like Tokyo and Kansai, like that,
Now, I can say Honda, Kawasaki, Suzuki. I talk a little. I know a little bit.
Right.
Can you say something in Japanese?
Yeah.
All right,
Let
say
me just
something.
say something. あんたはね、非常にバカタレでね、ブサイクのやつでな。
Apparently, we have. I guess we have many people here who who obviously speak Japanese. So what did you just say?
악어가 데카크네 가이부즈 미타는 뭔지 알아?
Now tell me what you said.
I just said you're a gentleman, very honest, sweet, loving man.
Oh, the loving.
And it's
what a
nice
loving,
to be on your show.
Loving thing to say. Well, that's very nice.
Yeah.
Now tell us about the movie, Fire Down Below. Now,
You sure you want to do that?
sure.
Okay.
Well, I know this is something you're very interested in.
We were
I
just
know
on a
you're-
roll there, and I didn't want to digress or anything. It's a movie about, guess what, another federal agent who is asked to go down into an area where they're dumping toxic waste because several federal agents had been killed. And I end up investigating and find out who's dumping and try to arrest them. They don't want me to arrest them, and I kill a few and name just one or two. And the rest of them, I speak to them, you know, with words of wisdom and compassion and get them to just give up and become good people.
And then kick the hell out of them.
Yeah.
See, I always like that scene in movies where we go, you don't understand, you must learn to do this. And then the guy goes, come on, kick the hell out of the guy. That's what I like. Now, Chris Christopherson in this. I like him. He's a good. Is he the bad guy?
He's sort of semi-bad.
Oh, semi-bad.
Semi-bad.
All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the clip. Is this clip get any more set up than that? This is you confronting him?
Yeah, it's an interesting moment between the two of us.
All right, let's take a look. Fire Down Below.
All right, I'll come straight to the point. What's your price?
Excuse me?
I have a lot of money. I'll give you some to go away. Everyone has his price. What's yours?
Let me think about that for a minute. How about the life of my friend? Or how about if you took the poison out of the air, out of the earth, out of the water that you've left up here? If you could do any of those, not only would I leave, but I'd be impressed.
Now, the movie opens September 5th. Now, I know you got to go. Where are you off to now? Premiere or something?
We're doing a little sort of a rock and roll tour with this movie. I wrote some of the soundtrack for the movie, and we have a soundtrack album. And we've got a bunch of the guys up yonder over here, and we're rehearsing right near here.
All right, well, I'll let you go then. Steven, good luck on the film. Thanks for coming. Be right back with Football Walking right after this.
So that was Seagal setting up some of his clairvoyance. Let's continue with that.
I was born. Clairvoyant.
I grew up in a very
I was born clairvoyant.
I grew up in a very, very dangerous area, an area that was all gangsters, yakuza.
I was born and raised in the blues.
I was raised in Japan under some of the greatest karate masters.
I was the first and only foreigner to ever run a dojo.
Being a cop, I think, is special. I have a lot of pride in being a police officer. Someone who really and truly is there to protect and serve.
Have you ever done comedy?
Yeah,
I used to do stand-up.
Stop, Steven.
But you're not really a doctor.
Well, something like that, yeah.
But he told you he was a doctor.
It's a real sensitive subject with me because there's so much that I would be real uncomfortable to get into. You can say that I've worked with people who were in the CIA and worked for the CIA. I don't ever talk about what I've done, but a couple people have an idea. I'll talk to friends and they'll say, yeah, and then we got ambushed here, and there were this many shots fired, and I did this, and I did that, and I flanked. They remember every fucking move, you know? Stuff. I just go on automatic pilot, and I just react to everything that's happening. And afterwards, I have a fairly clear recollection, but it's not, you know, very exact.
I've been playing music since I was very, very young. I've been playing music since I was 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old.
In the blues, like I said, there was no color. I was raised with them. I didn't learn from a record. I play with my fingers. And I play with my fingers because I saw Gabe Mount Brown play like this, Albert Collins play like this, Albert King play like this. And those are the guys that I was lucky enough to get to sit with and watch and play with. Those were my teachers. Those were my mentors.
Hoodoo, we say voodoo, we say gree-gree.
I was the only one that wasn't black that I knew that played exactly like them.
Did you get involved with that while you were in Japan?
Absolutely.
Were you drafted by an agency or someone that wanted to take advantage of your fact that you were an American and a martial artist and someone who may have known the country?
Something like that.
Something like that?
We serve the same master. And he's a lunatic and he's ungrateful. There's nothing we can do about it. You and I were the same.
Steven Seagal has become one of the world's best-known action movie stars. He is a 7th Dan black belt expert in Aikido. And in his movies, wherever he confronts evil, he doesn't just defeat it, he shreds it. But fighting bad guys around the world isn't the only role Seagal is known for. He's also a powerful teacher of spirituality.
I was born clairvoyant. I was born a healer. And I was born very different.
You can say that again. Seagal is said to be a reincarnated Buddhist Lama. And to many, that makes him a god.
Well, I mean, you know, this I really shouldn't say on camera, but...
But he does say it anyway. He claims he's God, a description many use about themselves in the East.
We say sort of the same thing in Buddhism. We believe that all sentient beings have the Buddha nature within them, which means they are all, you know, sort of God.
That's quite an admission from the famous actor. Steven Seagal shared with me his stories about being a healer, about being clairvoyant, about being a god, when he headlined here at the House of Blues in downtown Cleveland. Seagal sings, acts, and plays guitar. He tells me many of his fans are also his spiritual students, that he teaches them on and off screen just with his gaze and gestures.
The ones who know. They can look into my eyes or just hear my voice and something clicks and they know.
Seagal teaches others what he's learned himself from great teachers in India and elsewhere, that everyone is God. It's just that they don't know it yet.
I think the foundation of all people has to be where we come from ultimately. And ultimately where we come from is the divine.
He loves stirring things up, as when Seagal suggests that everything in life is good, even what's bad.
If the bad teaches us, is the bad bad?
Well, in the ultimate teaching, all is good.
Come on, that's not striking, officer. That's striking.
A man who says he's God, who hurts and kills dozens in his movie. A veritable contradiction in terms. Yet, shockingly, for all of his bravado and toughness, Steven Seagal ends his interview with me in Cleveland pleading for forgiveness for any real harm he has ever caused anyone.
I am sorry for any pain or suffering or hurt or negativity I've caused any sentient being.
Where's the contradiction, though? If he's God, he could do whatever he wants, including, you know, dispatching foes by the dozens. How is that a contradiction? Amphibious says, I wish he would explain in detail how he was born different. Well, isn't it obvious? I mean, just look at his abilities. Mental, physical, spiritual. So, let's get into the exact nature of his reincarnation. So I was able to find a post here on Reddit of all places. One second here. What is going on? Got some crazy lag right now. What is going on here? Okay, so on the Buddhism subreddit, we got some receipts here. So apparently, this is discussion here. I've heard that Steven Seagal was identified as the reincarnation of a Turton. I was curious to find out more, but there was very little information available in English. It turns out there's a good article on the topic in French Wikipedia. This is the translation. So, everyone here, brace yourselves for these receipts. Chung Drog Dorje was a Turton of the 17th century who founded a small monastery, Gegan, near the village of his birthplace, Phene, in the region of Kutch of Dege in Kham, eastern Tibet. And for those who don't know, a Turton is a person who is a discoverer of ancient hidden texts. Okay. While there are no monks there currently, the small monastery still exists and is known in the region for its beautiful religious murals. As a Turton, Chung Drag Dorje rediscovered secret teachings and objects hidden by the Padmasambhava in the 8th century. The Padmasambhava, also known as the Guru Rinpoche, is a semi-legendary figure revered as the founder of Tibetan Buddhism and the principal figure in the Vajrayana tradition. He is considered an emanation of the Buddha Shakyamuni and is believed to have introduced Tantric Buddhism to Tibet in the 8th century. So this is the founder of Tibetan Buddhism. Such treasures were hidden with the intention that they would be discovered and revealed at a later date when circumstances were such that they would bring special benefits to sentient beings. The texts of teachings discovered by Chung Drag Dorje have apparently not survived the Chinese Cultural Revolution. The sacred objects discovered by Chung Drag Dorje included an abnormally formed clock, a furba, a ritual dagger, the syllable A cut into a rock, and pigments to be used for making sacred murals in his monastery mentioned above. Many of these objects have been conserved and are still kept in the Palyul Monastery today. In the Nyingmapa tradition, it is said that there are 100 main treasure revealers and a greater number of secondary treasure revealers. Among the latter category is not uncommon for the line of their teachings to ultimately cease. While they were beneficial during the time that they prospered, for many reasons some Terton teaching lineages have ceased. This would seem to be the case with Chung Drag Dorje. Steven Seagal is recognized as a reincarnation of Chungdraj Dorje of the Palyul Monastery. So let's get some receipts on the screen here. Give me a second here to provide all of these receipts. For those that think this is all fake, etc., etc. We're bringing out the receipts. Just give me a second here. This is definitely going to shock some minds. So this is straight from the Palyul website from Fedor Rinpoche. And it is on the screen right now. So, this is Turton Chundrag Dorje, alias Steven Seagal. This is World Tibet News. So, again, just to reiterate, Chundrag Dorje is said to have rediscovered the secret teachings of the founder of Tibetan Buddhism. So, not just some random lama. So, this is a statement here by H.H. Fedor Rinpoche regarding the recognition of Steven Seagal as a reincarnation of the treasure revealer Chundrag Dorje of Palyul Monastery. In February 97, I recognized my student Steven Seagal as a reincarnation tulku of the treasure revealer Chundrag Dorje. Since there have been some confusion and uncertainty as to what this means, I am writing to clarify the situation. Traditionally, a tulku is considered to be a reincarnation of a Buddhist master who, out of his or her compassion for the suffering of sentient beings, has vowed to take rebirth to help all beings attain enlightenment. I mean, one can only wonder what a world the place would be if everybody just listened to Steven Seagal. To fulfill this aspiration, a tulku will generally need to go through the complete process of recognition, enthronement, and training. Formal recognition generally occurs soon after a tulku has been identified, but only after other important lineage masters have been consulted. The newly identified tulku does not take on any formal responsibilities at the time of recognition. The next step of enthronement may or may not occur for a tulku depending on the circumstances. Enthronement formally formally invests the tulku with the responsibility of furthering the activities associated with their particular tulku lineage. Thus, if there are specific teachings and practice traditions associated with their lineage, and if there are perhaps monks, nuns, monasteries, retreat centers, lay communities, and so forth for which the tulku traditionally takes responsibility, then the tulku is formally vested with those responsibilities at the time of enthronement. In the event that an enthronement ceremony is conducted, it may take place soon after recognition or some years later. If the tulku is too young to assume their responsibilities upon enthronement, others may be entrusted to take on those responsibilities until the tulku is ready. Finally, a tulku needs to complete a formal course of training which includes years of study and meditation. This training reawakens the tulku's powers of insight and compassion and develops their skillful means for helping others. It is only after such training that a tulku is ready to take on the role of a teacher. In the case of Steven Seagal, he has been formally recognized as a tulku but has not been officially enthroned. He has also not undergone the lengthy process of study and practice necessary to fully realize what I view as his potential for helping others. And keep in mind, this is February 1997. And just for clarification here, Seagal was formally recognized before a crowd of 1,500 people, not only as a tulku, but as the reincarnation of Shundrag Dorje. So this was the revealer of treasures of Padsum Bhava, the grand progenitor of Tibetan Buddhism. And Penor Rinpoche is the 11th throne holder of the Palipul tradition from eastern Tibet, and he is the supreme head of the Nyingma lineage of Tibetan Buddhism, the oldest and most mystically inclined of the four main Buddhist lineages. So again, this is not a random nobody here. Okay, so continuing. Let me check the chat here. Does anybody need any further clarification? I'm going to read the whole thing here, but welcome South to West, Clark. Southwest says, in the beginning, the Lord created Seagal. Well, it says God made man in his own image. So let's let's continue here. When I first met him, I felt he had the special qualities of a tulku within him. So again, this senior master is saying this upon his first meeting, he already recognized the special qualities of a tulku within Seagal. According to the great vehicle, the Mahayana of the Buddhist tradition, all beings have within the potential for becoming Buddhas. With Steven Seagal, I perceived this potential to be particularly strong as accords with being a tulku. In the past, whenever I met someone that I feel is a tulku, I have always consulted with other masters of the Nyingma lineage, such as Judjum Rinpoche, Dilgo Khyente Rinpoche, and other senior lineage holders. Similarly, after my experience of meeting Steven Seagal, I consulted with another important Nyingma master, and with his concurrence, recognized Steven Seagal as a tulku. So there's multiple elders here that are all recognizing Seagal. Okay. Oh, Yeah, let me get the next part on the screen here. I was reading from this next page. So, with regard to the particular circumstances of Seagal's recognition, while it is generally the case that tulkus are recognized young in life, this is not always so. For example, the great master Jamyang Kyehensei Choki Lodro remained unrecognized for many years while he was an ordained monk at Kathok Monastery. He was over 30 years old, perhaps 35, and had completed his monastic education when he was recognized and enthroned as the first reincarnation of Jamyang Kyehensei Choki Wangpo. In his case, he had devoted his life to study and practice and was thus prepared for taking on the full responsibilities of being a tulku at the time of his recognition. Prior to my recognition of Seagal, I myself recognized another tulku late in his life, Kalzyang Yeshe Rinpoche, a monk originally from the Palipul branch monastery of Shibo in Tibet, and later at Namdroling Monastery in India, where he recognized and enthroned in 83 at the age of 51. He too had spent his life studying Buddhism and meditating before he was recognized as a tulku. Because he had cultivated his potential through many years of diligent study and meditation, he was able to become a teacher and is currently the head of our Palipul Center in Singapore. So in short, in the Tibetan tradition, there is nothing unusual about recognizing a tulku late in their life. In fact, the recognition of a tulku who has been born in the West is especially likely to occur later in their lifetime, because it would generally take much longer for all the conditions that are necessary for such a recognition to come together. Steven Seagal has been recognized as a reincarnation of the 17th century hidden treasure revealer Shundrag Dorje of Palipul Monastery. Founded a small monastery called Gegon Gampa near his native village of Phin in the Kutsu area of Derj in eastern Tibet. Though there are no monks there now, the small monastery building still exists and is well known in the area for its beautiful religious wall paintings. Next part here. As a Turtan, Shundrag Dorje rediscovered teachings and sacred objects hidden by Padmasambhava in the 8th century. Such treasures were concealed with the intention that they would be discovered and revealed at a later date when the circumstances were such that they would be of particular benefit to sentient beings. Texts of the teachings discovered by Shundrag Dorje have apparently not survived the Chinese Cultural Revolution. Sacred objects discovered by Shundrag Dorje include an unusually shaped bell, a Furba ritual dagger, the syllable A carved in stone, and pigments used to create the sacred wall paintings in the monastery mentioned above. Several of the objects have been preserved and are still kept at the Palipul Monastery today. Now, with regard to Steven Seagal, he was born centuries after the death of Shundrag Dorje. It is not uncommon for there to be a lengthy span of time between the death of a master and the appearance of his or her subsequent in reincarnation. My own tulku lineage is an example of this. There was a 130-year hiatus between the death of the first Pemu Norbu in 1757 and the birth of the second Pemu Norbu in 1887. This is common in all the tradition of Tibetan Buddhism. As for how these gaps come about, while tulkus are generally understood to have vowed to be continually reborn to help beings, it is not necessary for them to take rebirth in a continuous sequence of lives in this world. It is believed that they can be reborn in other world systems where they continue their compassionate activities, returning only later to this world system. This is how such lapses in tulku lineages are understood in Tibet. So has Steven Seagal's reincarnated soul or essence or whatever, has he traveled to other worlds and dimensions to cultivate his skills in his past lives? Is that how he is so talented at being talented as a master of all trades, jack of none? It kind of makes sense, doesn't it? It kind of makes sense. Yeah, I'll check that out later, Clark. Let's finish tracing the divinity of Seagal here. As for Steven Seagal's movie career, my concern is with the qualities I experienced with him which relate to his potential for benefiting others, and not within the conventional details of his life which are wholly secondary. Some people think that because Steven Seagal is always acting in violent movies, how can he be a true Buddhist? Such movies are for temporary entertainment and do not relate to what is real and important. It is the view of the great vehicle of Buddhism that compassionate beings take rebirth in all walks of life to help others. Any life condition can be used to serve beings, and thus, from this point of view, it is possible to be both a popular movie star and a tulku. There is no inherent contradiction in this possibility. Last part here. As the head of the Palipo lineage of the Nyingma school, and more recently as the head of the Nyingma tradition of Tibetan Buddhism, I have had the responsibility of recognizing numerous tulkus. The first time I recognized the tulku, I was 10 years old. This tulku was the incarnation of the great Khenpo Nagaga. He is still living in eastern Tibet and continues to strive to this day to promote the welfare of others. Since that time until now, I have recognized over 100 tulkus. In addition, I have overseen the training and enthronement of over 30 Khenpos, learned scholars, and I am responsible for the welfare of the many thousands of monks belonging to the Palipul tradition. My concern in seeking to nurture these tulkus, Khenpos, monks, as well as the sincere lay people, has been to benefit all sentient beings. It is out of this intention that I have recognized tulkus in the past and continue to recognize them in the future as appropriate. In the case of my student, Steven Seagal, I initiated the decision to recognize him as a tulku based on my own feelings about him. Neither I nor any of my monasteries have received or sought any sort of substantial donation from him. Which is important to me are the qualities I have seen in my student. For this reason, I feel confident that recognizing him as a tulku will be of benefit to others as well as the Buddha Dharma. Whenever there is a new incarnation born or recognized, I personally feel very happy because it is like you have one more brother or sister. I take delight in such occasions as they seek to further compassionate activity for others. Being recognized as a tulku is an acknowledgement of one's potential to help others. Such recognition does not mean that one is already a realized teacher. The degree to which tulkus have been able to actualize and utilize their potential depends upon how they have been able to use their past circumstances and how they currently use their present circumstances to develop their potential. Each tulku must work to develop themselves to the best of their ability. The essential point is that a tulku should strive to help others in whatever life situation they find themselves. It is out of such an aspiration to help all sentient beings that I have recognized many tulkus in my life, and it is with this motivation that I recognized Steven Seagal as a tulku. If all beings seek to have this motivation, what need will there be for controversies and confusion over the motivations of others? Penyor Rinpoche. So, again, this is in response to some controversy because a lot of goofs were saying that Seagal just paid people to say this. That'd be kind of random and obviously against these spiritual people's religion and practices to do so. So, are some people alleging that Penyor Rinpoche is lying? I mean, I don't know. That's all they really have is their spirituality. Clark asks, so is Norris the evil one? Is Chuck Norris a dark entity? That's a good question. Or perhaps he's just a jealous human talking trash, as we went over in the previous live. Clark says, so was Chuck Norris wrong when he sensed evil in the blessed Bodhisattva? Yeah, it's, I don't think he said he was evil. He said he was kind of like nasty or mean or whatever. Also, don't forget to check out the episode where Seagal blew the whistle on the existence of Yetis, of interdimensional Yetis. I believe he was the first to do so. He did so decades ago. Truth Trollette says, everyone is a dark entity when compared to Seagal. But I mean, how much more receipts do you need? Because, like, all the hater goofs that are now drowning in receipts here that said that Seagal's not really a reincarnated llama. It's also interesting as this particular reincarnation is... I mean, look at all the good he did, because, I mean, he's blowing the whistle on the evils of the CIA, drug trafficking, assassinations, all the way back in Above the Law. I mean, he's directing movies about pollution on deadly ground, and also starring in movies like Fire Down Below, you know, against corrupt humans poisoning the earth. I mean, he's doing far more for the environment than any of these, you know, poser goofs like Leonardo DiCaprio and all these other celebrities ever did. And then he also exposed the mob. I mean, it's just crazy. So does anybody have any other questions on Seagal's divinity? We'll be examining more of his comedy in the next episode, but, I mean, how many more receipts do we need here? Clark says, any one of these endeavors takes a lifetime to master. Yeah, and he's mastered all of them. I mean, how could he do that if he weren't truly divine? Truth Trollette says, no questions for me. Clark says, how does he possibly have time to be in two places at the same time? Well, the reincarnated entity, so who he's supposedly reincarnated of, found these treasures of the founder of Tibetan Buddhism, which includes like devices like clocks and all of this. I mean, who knows what sacred knowledge Seagal has inherited through reincarnation, clairvoyance or otherwise. South to West says, losing Seagal to Russia was a huge national security loss. No question. No question. Let's get a receipt of that on the screen. So you could see here, while Seagal was on the border through 2017, he moved to Russia in 2017. You see that precipitous drop? Because he wasn't on the border for that long, because he was in New Orleans, and then I think he was on the border in Arizona for a little bit. Let's look at the result of him. The result of him on the border here. So this was his work right here. Now let's get it in green. We can't see that. So this is Seagal's work on the border when, I forgot what season that was, but, so this is Seagal's work right here. And then as soon as he moves to Russia, so he moved to Russia sometime mid-2017, going into 2018. And then as soon as he does this great work here, dropping the illegal immigration. As soon as he leaves to Russia, look at this. And then obviously Trump has a little bit of clampdowns and then it goes out of control. But this is the product of Seagal's work here. Single-handed work here by Steven Seagal. So, does anybody have any other questions about Seagal's divinity? I mean, how much more receipts can we put up? I mean, we got the previous 25 hours of accomplishments in this series. And then you have the testimony here of the most senior and authoritative experts in Buddhism here. World Tibet News here. And H.H. Penor Rinpoche recognizing Seagal officially. And the ceremony was in front of 1,500 people. I mean, how much more can we get here? South to West says, look at the photo. Seagal emanates holiness and peace. Indeed he does. Indeed he does. Is there anybody more accomplished? And look at all the good he's done for the world. I mean, how many people have done as much as Steven Seagal, philanthropist extraordinaire? I mean, saving elephants in Thailand, helping people all over Africa, South America. I mean, this guy does it all. So yeah, plenty, believe it or not, we're just scratching the surface here with Steven Seagal. Plenty more to come. We're going to examine his comedic prowess and plenty more media and interviews. And then I still have the definitive CIA deep dive on whether Seagal, like exactly how Seagal worked for the CIA, which we'll be going over as well. Hope everybody enjoyed another edition of the MindShock podcast. If you want to help support the podcast, help logic and reason return to a world where it's quickly going extinct, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. This is Bruce McGuire signing off. Catch you guys next time.